so this isn't particularly scientific, but I have got a pile of my topsoil. It's quite damp already. If it is a bit on the dry side, you might want to add a little bit of water first. And then I've got a bit of my perlite on this side, and I'm just going to mix it up. I kind of do it more by eye than everything. Obviously, you don't want too much perlite in it because that hasn't got any nutritious value at all. Not that seedlings need a massive amount of nutritious value, but they certainly want more than just perlite. So I'm just mixing all that up together, just opening up the structure. You can sort of see now that it's not so claggy as maybe it would have been if it was all compost, but it's not essential. Don't worry if you haven't got any at all. Doesn't matter. Okay, and I have got I've got all my different sorts of seed trays here, and I'm just going to show you how I go about sowing things in those different seed trays. So if I was going to be using one of these tubs, I would maybe put it half full. Doesn't need to. I'm just going to gently tap it, gently pop it, press a little bit on with my fingers. Don't want it too loose, but you don't want it too compacted either. I might put a little bit more in there. So it doesn't need to be necessarily to the very top. I'm just going to get that ready. If I was using a little pot like this, that's probably ample in that one. So I've got a takeaway container. Now I have decided to put a bit of moist paper towel in the bottom because I haven't got drainage holes in this one. And I don't want to fill it right to the very top because I'm going to put a lid on this, and if the seedlings start to germinate and I miss it, they might end up having to kind of bump their heads on the roof. But this is quite a good size one. It's a good, probably about a couple of inches. So I might just put a little bit more on top there. Okay, and then we've got the cardboard one here, and that's going to soak up moisture there, I think. So I've used these before, so this is going to hold moisture around on the cardboard, so that could be quite useful as well. So now what I do, so I've got various seed things here. I've got some cornflower, I've got some nigella, I've got some calendula somewhere. There's a calendula. Now, so I've got some Higgledy Garden seed. I've used their seeds. They don't leave you with many instructions on here, whereas Chiltern seeds do have a nice list of instructions. Okay, so on the Chiltern seeds, I've got a little bit of instructions here. I'll just read them out. It does say sow direct actually, which means put straight in the ground, but we will do them in a little pot or something. So 3 millimeters deep. Ideal germination temperature is 18 to 20 degrees, which is why we need to germinate inside or somewhere where it's warm. Germination takes 10 to 21 days approximately. And then it talks about thinning seedlings and so on. So it's a good idea to get a bit of, you can get some information quite often from the seed packets. It's a hardy annual, and it says to sow outdoors, although I'm going to sow it indoors. So there's quite a lot of information on there. Okay, so I'm going to pour a few in my hand. Notice I've taken my gloves off. I just find you need to make sure you've got dry hands. I've got quite a lot of seeds in here, but you can just never tell with germination. They'll either all germinate or hardly any will germinate. What I don't want is half a dozen. I want a decent number. So I'm going to then just take a little pinch in my hands, and I'm just going to scatter them over the surface of the soil here. Like that. Now it said to sow them 3 millimeters deep. So at this stage you can either just cover them with a little bit of extra compost, tiny little bit like that, but this is when I quite like to use the vermiculite, because you can just get that roughly that 3 millimeters on the surface there, and then a bit of a tap. Make sure you have the right label, which is this one. So Nigella, Miss Jekyll, and I've also got the date that I've sown it as well. And what I'm going to do is that is going to go inside. I might just spray the top of the vermiculite there so it's not completely bone dry. I haven't got my sprayer here. And I will pop that in a plastic bag, and that'll just make it like a little mini greenhouse. So that's that one done. So what should we put in this one? Okay, let's pop some corn flour in that one. This is cornflower purple haze. So this comes in a nice little seed packet here. So these are cornflowers. So actually I'm probably not going to put all of those in. Well, yeah, let's pop them all in. That's probably plenty. And then to put them back in the packet, I tend to do it over the thing you've sown them in, so if you spill any, they just go down there. So that is cornflower purple haze. Cornflower purple haze, which is that one there. So that's going to go in, and then these are slightly bigger seeds, so I will probably just put a little bit of soil, compost, and just a very thin scattering of vermiculite in there. Okay, so that's that one. I'll do another cornflower. Oh, I want to do the calendula actually. So I'm going to put the calendula in here, calendula ice maiden. Now these don't take that long from sowing to flowering, but obviously at this time of year it's still going to be a while because we need to wait for the weather to warm up a bit. These are like little curly snaky things I do quite like. Now these are pretty reliable about germinating. Whoops. So I'm just rolling between my fingers to get a bit of a cluster coming out. And then we're just going to monitor how long this takes. Again, I probably could have put soil on there as opposed to the vermiculite. Generally, the finer, the tinier the seeds, the lighter the layer you need to put on top. Some of them you're not supposed to even put anything on top. Calendula, so there it is. Thought I hadn't done a label for a minute, so that's that one. Now I have got one big seed tray here. Now the reason I got this one out was this was seed that I saved from some white scabious quite some time ago, like a couple of years ago. So I'm not really sure about whether this is going to germinate or not. So I'm actually just going to put it all down on there and see what happens. I've got a couple of kind of wild areas that I want to, just going to scatter them around a bit, I've got a verge that I want to put a load of wildflowers in, and a bit under our apple tree. So if these germinate, it'll all be a bonus, and I can use them under there as well. Okay, so, and that's going to have a plastic bag on it too. I might put a bit of that on too, any bits that I've missed. I don't think I've done a label for this, but I think I'll know that this is the scalius because I'll remember. Okay, but I might put that on there because that's got the label on it. So to make them into mini greenhouses, the takeaway boxes, I'm just going to pop those lids on, but you do have to keep an eye on the germination. It's very exciting when you see things germinate. Some take longer than others, and then things like the other pots, the other containers, these sort of plastic bags come in useful. You don't need such a big one for this one. I'm probably just going to put that one in like that. The seed tray one, I will put the propagator lid on, hopefully. Put that one in like that. There's my mini greenhouse there. And then I've just got this one here. So this just keeps that moisture in. And you might need to give it a bit of a spray every now and again. And that just helps them get going. And I'll show you where I'll put them in the next clip. Okay, so here we are. Everything is in my little cheapo greenhouse, indoor greenhouse, and it's also indoors. So bearing in mind, germination is usually kind of 15 degrees plus. They do need to go somewhere relatively warm, either on a windowsill or something like that. I'm lucky enough to have underfloor heating in this room, so that seems to work pretty well. But just even probably in the house, it somewhere is sufficient. So the important thing for germination is a bit of heat, not too hot, and just keeping an eye on your seedlings to see when they start germinating. And as soon as they start germinating, you need to look at the next video.